It is a showdown this afternoon in federal court with a hearing just wrapping up in downtown. The federal government and Pima County Attorney's Office are locked in a custody battle dealing with whether Pima County Attorney Laura Conover and her team have the right to prosecute a murder suspect. So that suspect is also an undocumented immigrant who's right now in federal custody. Now the question is will the DOJ turn that suspect over to Pima County? News 4 Tucson's political specialist Eric Fink just got out of that hearing moments ago. I mean, what is the latest on this, Eric?
Monica, Pima County Attorney Laura Conover took the feds to court today to get access to suspect Julio Aguirre, that murder suspect and undocumented immigrant accused of going on a Midtown crime spree back at the end of June. Now, Aguirre is facing federal charges related to a carjacking and 2 gun charges related to the suspected murder of 69-year-old Tucsonan Ricky Miller. But Conover says there are 7 other victims in this case that to this point the federal government have ignored. So Conover says she was building a case. Her team was starting to build a case against Aguirre when she says federal authorities took Aguirre from a hospital in Tucson into federal custody, into a federal holding facility in Florence. Pima County demanded that Aguirre, an undocumented immigrant with a history of deportations, be turned back to Pima County, but the DOJ says there's no legal basis for that. Conover says her team has evidence that needs to be preserved for a state case. They say they need access to Aguirre for an initial appearance and an arraignment. Lawyers for the state say they want to interview elderly victims and lock in their testimony before those victims' memories fade. Conover sued the Department of Justice, and today we learned that the Pima County Attorney's Office says they're okay with having access to Aguirre electronically over Zoom. He says he doesn't even have to be present and doesn't have to leave federal custody for the state. Federal prosecutors say granting the state access to Aguirre will hurt the United States case against him. Now, after a 90-minute hearing, U.S. District Judge Rosemary Marquez says she never heard of a case where the state wasn't granted access to a defendant for an initial appearance or an arraignment and depositions. She has yet to make a ruling on this. We spoke to Conover just a couple of moments ago. Let's take a listen to that sound.
When the court just now highlighted that this seems to be kind of a first-in-the-nation problem where we've got to ask a federal judge to intervene only to get minimal access to a man accused of numerous crimes against 7 local victims here. You know, when the court said that, it reinforced the idea that we're in very strange territory, and I dare say unnecessarily.
I checked in with a spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office. They say right now they have no comment as this case is ongoing. Again, there has been no ruling from the judge. We'll look for that in the coming days and weeks, and we'll have more from Pima County Attorney Laura Conover coming up at 5 o'clock. We're live outside federal court downtown this afternoon. I'm Eric Fink, News 4 Tucson. Monica, back to you.